Testing. But the music. The music? No? Oh, okay. Okay. Ladies, there are some seats up in the front here. There's about 10 seats up in the front, so if you ladies want to come on up. There's about 5 seats in the front row. There's a couple seats in the second row. So if you just want to come up and fill them in, so we can try and get a seat for everybody. Okay, ladies, we're going to go ahead and get our program started for this morning. So if I can have everybody's attention, please. We have a nice big group here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies. For those of you that are coming in, there are some seats up in the front. I know you don't want to walk in front of this whole big crowd, but it's okay. All right, ladies, we're going to go ahead and get the first session for today started. My name is Leanne Falabelle, and I'm with the Greater Hazleton Chamber of Commerce. And it is my pleasure to introduce our sponsor for this first breakout session for this morning. Just a few housekeeping notes before we do that. Please make sure that your cell phones are turned to silent so that we don't disturb the speaker and all the attendees here that are with us today. And also, if you're going to use social media, please don't forget to use hashtag EmpowerNEPA. And then also, when we are leaving for the day, please just don't forget to grab any garbage that you leave behind. There's garbage cans right outside the door, so we can keep everything tidy for all of you ladies today. And again, it's my pleasure to introduce the sponsor for today's program. Her name is Holly Barbella. She is the Associate Vice President for Women's Health at Geisinger. So please help me to introduce and welcome Holly.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. At Geisinger, our Women's Health team offers coordinated, compassionate care for every stage and every health need in a woman's life. From gynecological care, pregnancy care, and even highly specialized treatments, Geisinger is truly a women's healthcare partner. With a system including over 13 hospital campuses, we are proud to offer the care you need, where you need it most, close to home. Here in northeastern Pennsylvania alone, we have 7 outpatient women's health clinics and soon to be 2 labor and delivery units, with the addition of our new childbirth center coming this October to Geisinger Community Medical Center in Scranton. So now it's my pleasure to introduce you to a fellow professional who has dedicated her life to the same things we at Geisinger are passionate about. As the owner of Quest Studio, Talia Walsh has made it her mission to help people achieve optimum levels of health via specialty fitness classes and yoga, wellness coaching, metabolic testing, custom nutrition programs, and corrective exercise programs. A dedicated community volunteer, she works with injured veterans and veteran associations that support those in need. An accomplished singer and violinist, she released her first studio album in late 2018. She holds both a bachelor's and master's degree from Bloomsburg University. So please help me in welcoming Talia Walsh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I see a few men in the house. Okay, first things first. You all have your power bags. You should see one of these cards in there. Go ahead. There were 600 of them. So sorry. How many people are here today? 600 or more? Gosh. All right, if you didn't get one, we'll pass them around. I have extra. They're passing them out. If you don't, you can take notes, and you can message me after. I'll mail you one if you want one. But I had these made in, and you'll see the front on the back. If you flip it over, there's an empty space. That's for you to write down notes if I give you any wisdom that you could take with you today. My name is Talia. Welcome. I was expecting to go at 3 o'clock, so talk about being fearless in front of this many people. I'm used to talking about health and fitness, so following the McDonald's lady is usually it's a little bit different. But for me, I would like to know who I'm talking to before I tell you a little bit about myself. I'm used to talking about health and fitness, and that makes me really comfortable. These heels make me really uncomfortable, so I'm going to take them off if that's okay with you. I'm used to walking in bare feet with yoga pants, so I'm super excited. Mari asked me if I'd be willing to talk, and every person in this room has unique stories, and I know that. And we've all been through things that knock us over and build us up, and so my goal is just to kind of share my story and give you some of the tools that I've used that have helped me just to be where I am today. So I just want to get a feel of who I'm talking to. And if you don't feel comfortable to raise your hand, you don't have to, but just so that I kind of know, raise your hand who works full-time. Okay, hands down. Who works part-time? Okay, who works more than one job? 2 jobs. Hands down, 3 jobs. Cool. Who's retired? Anybody? Oh, darn, that's my goal in 10 years. If you're sitting next to your boss, you don't have to answer this, but who loves your job? Okay. Who is working their dream job? Dream job. Yeah. Okay, how many of you are married? How many of you are happily married? You don't have to answer that either. How many of you are single? Okay. Divorced? Widowed? Okay. In between, there you go. Well, I don't know about that. How many of you have kids? How many of you are empty nesters? Kids are gone. Good for you. Cool. All right. They asked this over there. Who takes 1 vacation a year? Who takes no vacations a year? Who takes more than 2? 2 or more. Good for you. I want to be your friend. Okay. Who's debt-free? Yeah. Good. Who has a plan B income? Who has a second income aside maybe plan B? Okay, we need to get more hands for that. That's a good thing. How many of you would consider yourself healthy? Okay, I want everyone to close your eyes because these 2 are personal. I want everyone to close your eyes. Just let's be honest, because I'm going to be super transparent with you, so I want you to be super transparent with me. How many of you in this room have ever had cancer or an accident or an illness that could have taken your life, but it didn't? Okay, put your hands down. Keep your eyes closed. How many of you are comfortable in your own skin? Okay, hands down. You can open your eyes. Everyone on that last question should have raised their hand, and there's about 1/3 of you. And so when it comes to being afraid of doing things, I'm scared of speaking in front of people. But it's about being confident in who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing it that makes us be fearless in what we're doing, right? So everyone that's in this room, whether you came because you're just kind of curious what I was going to talk about, or there's something that you want more of in your life, that whatever that is, some of you may know what that is. Some of you may not have an idea or a clue what that is, but my goal is to kind of help you maybe discover what that is. So my story, just a little bit about me. I'm 36 years old, from Scranton. My mom is here. Raise your hand, Mom. I grew up as an only child. I have a half-sister. She was born when I was 21 years old, so she's 14. We grew up in like Westchester, Levittown area, and moved back when I was in 4th grade. My parents wanted to come back here. I grew up as a music nerd. Like she mentioned, I play violin for 28 years. I sing for church. I've been in a bunch of bands and stuff like that. But I always said I was going to be a famous singer and that kind of stuff. And so kind of grew up through school playing, singing, went to Bloomsburg for speech pathology. In 10th grade, I was singing in a play. I had laryngitis. I ruptured my blood vessel, ruptured my vocal cords and created paralysis. So you notice I'm very soft-spoken. It's because my vocal cords are permanently paralyzed. So I had to go to voice therapy every 10 days. Mom drove me to Philly for a year to relearn how to sing and speak so I could talk to you. And so I ended up going into that path into college. I went to Bloomsburg for speech pathology. And I was in a bunch of bands. I was in Tin Pan Alley and Daddy on the Sax Maniacs. They're like the local guys. Take 5, Electric City Groove, and kind of sang my way through school, paying for my books and my apartments and stuff like that. And then I got put on a waiting list for grad school for speech pathology. So I'm like, crap, now what am I going to do? And I really learned about fitness in school. And I got into powerlifting, and I wanted to do figure competing and bodybuilding, and trained real hard, and I ended up switching. So 3 days after I graduated, I moved home and did all my prereqs at Keystone College for exercise physiology. And that summer is when I met a really awesome guy named Jan, and fell in love super quick, and he was the bad boy. My mom's like, oh no. Tattoos, drove a motorcycle, single dad, sergeant in the Army, worked in an auto body shop, but I loved him to death. And so we kind of make this plan and go through school, finish grad school. And while I'm in grad school, Jan decides that he wants to do one more tour in Afghanistan. So fear, talk about fear, right? So I come home, and he is like the best cheerleader in the sense of, babe, you're gonna make it big, you're gonna make it your way. You wanna compete? Go compete, I'll cheer you on. So I was, at that point, this is 2007, I was training for a figure competition. He's like, you should try out for American Idol. Okay, hop in a car with my best friend from college, stand in line for 3 days in Philadelphia, try out for American Idol. Judges said, you're great, you're not what we're looking for this year, please come back next year. So my dream of being a famous singer was kind of squashed at that point. And I came home Monday, August 27th, 2007, in my mom's kitchen, and get a knock at the door that my biggest fear came true, and Jan was killed in Afghanistan that morning. It's okay. And so then what? What do you do? All these plans that you've made for your life crumble and crushed in front of you, and you, 24 years old, and that happens, many of you in the room, right? That happens at all different stages and decades of our life. And so no matter where you're at, something happens that creates this fear, like fear of being in a new relationship because someone might die again, or fear of, here's the job I started to build for myself on my own, and now he's gone, and now what do I do? And so I worked as a wellness coach. My thought was, if I can help other people be healthier, it'll make me do it for myself. We find ways to cope with loss and things that don't go our way. We eat too much, or we drink too much, or whatever that looks like. We put ourselves to the wayside and take care of everybody else. And so I always say, if you can't give 100% to yourself, how are you ever going to be 100% for everybody else? We keep putting our money and our investments there, talking about financial freedom, putting our investments into everybody else, and it needs to go right here, right? So fast forward, I worked as a wellness coach for Jason Usavich. He's a chiropractor, loved it. And then I ended up working with my mom at MetLife, and I managed MetLife, all their health and wellness services for a little over 7 years. In the interim, I started a Plan B, coaching people with Advocare, actually, and decided to take that little leap of faith. I built myself a little safety net, about 6 months of income, just in case, and then took that leap, and I went out on my own. And I wasn't planning on it, but I ended up starting Quest Studio because I kept going to all these other places to fill everybody else's bank account. I said, why don't I just try to do it on my own? And so we've been in Jessup for 3 years, and it's been really awesome because there's many days where I feel like I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm helping people, and people are getting healthier, and it's a community that's super, super awesome. Some of them are in the room, so I'm excited for them to be a part of today with me, but it's been really an up and down journey when it comes to what do you do when life knocks you down, and how do you get back up. And so as I've gone through the things that I've been through, I've met people along the way. My family isn't all blood. So a lot of the people that I consider family are people that have helped me to see something bigger than I see for myself, that see more in me than I believe for in myself. And so my goal is to kind of share some of the key things that really worked for me. Yes, it worked. So first thing is dream big. So this was hard for me. 5, 6 years ago, someone said, I want you to make a dream board. If money, time, your health, relationships, what would you do? Where would you go? What would you have? Where would you live? What would you accomplish? And this is what I put together. I have it framed in my office, in my house. And so this is me being super transparent. Like, I'm a nerd when it comes to some of this stuff, but I wanted a French Mastiff. I want a Jeep with no doors, travel cross country, have a garden. And so what I've done with this over the last 5, 6 years is I've kind of, at the beginning of the year, one of the books that I read every December is called One Word. Write that down, by John Gordon. And it's picking a theme or a focus for the year that my whole year is developed around that one focus or word. But I pick 1 or 2 things from this board that I can focus on for that year, because it gives me something to wake up for. It gives me something to be excited about, to feel accomplished about. And by me working towards these things, my community over here has been watching what I'm doing, and they're like, oh, I want to do that too, right? So when you think of a tribe or a community or your girlfriends, your sisterhood, I was in a sorority. This is my sorority right here. Everyone in this room wants something more than what they have right now. Raise your hand if you do. Good. So I want you to make it. Whatever that looks like, I want you to make it. Every year I've picked something, recording a CD. It came out, it's so weird, but it came out in November, and it's been a great way to share a really positive message. I ended up competing in a figure competition, that's on there. Doing yoga with veterans, got certified to teach adaptive yoga. Next weekend I'm teaching a yoga class to paraplegics and quadriplegics. So it's helped, a lot of these things, focusing on a lot of these things have helped to develop into bigger and better things that I never would have thought possible for myself. The reality is that for a lot of people, this is impossible for them. And you don't have to raise your hand if you feel like it is for you, but if you could have one thing, if when you think of this stuff, what's one thing you'd want to have more of or less of, write it down. Write it down. Write it down. Yeah. So the first thing is knowing what you want, having a reason to work extra or get rid of something, getting rid of cable. I just got rid of it. I was jamming out to the music playlist I was playing up here before last night instead of watching TV. What are the things you need to get rid of so that you can have or do these things? What are the things you need to put in place? Who are the people that need to help you to do those things? The second thing, this is on the front of your card, and that's so that you can put it up wherever you can see it every day, so you can remember it. But positive affirmations has been the one thing. This is one of the things that I've struggled with the most, because we often are our worst enemy and our worst critic when it comes to, well, I can't do that because I don't know enough, or I'm not strong enough to do it, or I don't have enough money to do it. I wrote down some of the ones that were really big ones for me that I'm happy to share. But writing these on sticky notes, or writing them on this card, or writing them on your mirror with your lipstick. Men, you could figure it out. I wrote down, I am fearless, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am great at budgeting. I'm terrible at budgeting, I feel like. I wrote the opposite of whatever it is we tell ourselves every day. It's writing the opposite. I'm a leader. I'm a good leader. I have a story worth sharing. I'm a great teacher. I can love with all my heart. I'm making a difference. I'm rich in all things. My life is full of adventure, and I have no worries. Jan's saying was all the time, no worries, babe, and I have it tattooed on my side. The other thing I have tattooed is this anchor right here. I have Jan's name on this KIA bracelet, Killed in Action, and it's there as a reminder that life is short, that things can change like that as soon as you walk out of this room, and I pray that doesn't happen to you today. But odds are it will happen at some point between now and the day you're gone. And so the anchor for me, I have a really dear friend, Sandy. The anchor for me, we think of like, what are the things, the anchors in our life that ground us, that keep us positive? When you think of an anchor, if you put an anchor, I teach paddleboard yoga. You throw an anchor into the water, guess what happens to your paddleboard? It stays around the same spot. You don't float to the other side of the lake. The anchor, if you're being pulled in a bunch of different directions, which is what a lot of our lives look like, especially mine a lot of the times, unless you take control of it, you don't go anywhere. You don't go forward, you don't go backwards. If all these things are weighing you down, you're not going to be able to get to where you want to be, right? I had somebody text me about an hour before the morning session started. I wish I could take control of my life. That's literally the message I got this morning. I was like, what? What do you mean? You have control of your life. Just take it. Like, you have everything you need. You just have to be able to see it and have a reason to take it forward. It breaks my heart that any person would say they don't have control of your life, because you absolutely do. But when it comes to an anchor, if there's things that are weighing you down, one thing that I heard, that this is why I have this here as a reminder, is sometimes you have to let go of the anchors in your life to be able to rise to the top. And that's why I put that on the front of your cards, because if you have anchors in your life that you're like, this has to go, this relationship has to go, this person has to go. Sometimes we are stuck in situations where we work with someone who drives us crazy, or you have friends that drive you crazy, but you love on them anyway and then move on. Some things we can control, some things we can't, but you can control how you respond to it, you can control what you do with it. And so being able to look at what are the anchors in your life, the positive ones and the negative ones. I know what my positive ones are. When it comes to love, I'm not an expert, but I will say the fear of love is big. Just from what happened to Jan. And 2 years after I met Jan, I met this really awesome guy named Jason. And he didn't know about Jan. So I did what every normal girl would do, and I did the Irish goodbye, and I never called again. And great, who does that? You have this really awesome guy, and you just Irish goodbye because you're fearful of what they're going to think about what you've been through or who you lost, that they're going to be second to that, because I heard that a lot. Thankfully, thank you, 9.5 years later, he is back in my life, and he's the hunk that he was, and he's great. He'd kill me if I ever told you that, so I'm sorry. Shh, don't tell him. But I'm grateful that God made that plan to put him back, and he's the biggest cheerleader. He is a positive anchor in my life. So looking at we always say that you're the average of the top 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're a single mom at home with 5 kids, come on. Or if you're working with people that are bringing you down, like you get that text from that certain person, you're like, ugh, what do they want? Versus like, oh man, Jay's calling me, what does he need to tell me today? Like that, looking at who's your circle. For me, the studio is my circle. It's like 50 people wide, and I love it. And people like you in the room, where you all join the chamber to become more, to do more, to be more involved in community. Your community grows with it. So making positive affirmations for yourself, listing them on the back of your card, super cool. Okay. Remember I said on my dream board I wanted a French mastiff? This is my second favorite man in the world. His name is Bruno. He is going to be 5 in May. And I say love with a grateful heart in regards to a gratitude journal, but I gotta tell you, and this is not to be sad, I'm sorry, but it's reality. Mr. Bruno is like my love of my life. He's a whopping 124 pounds. He's a big boy. In January 15th, he was diagnosed with T-cell lymphoma. Like, how do dogs get that, right? He gets weekly chemo treatment. I'm taking him to Allentown tomorrow. Thank God for veterinary oncologists. And he's doing awesome. He gained all of his weight back. He's responding really well. But I know that T-cell lymphoma is a 6 to 8 month lifespan with chemo. And so you think of, this is just a dog, and it's not just a dog. He's like my life and my financial investment right here. He's awesome, and he gives me so much joy. And so he's one of the things that when I left MetLife, and I was like, okay, I want to love on something. I don't have kids. I love on other people's kids, but he's like my child. And loving with a grateful heart is the third technique that I've used a lot, and it's called a gratitude journal. So one thing that someone had challenged me to do is to have a journal right next to your bed, and every night write 10 things that you're grateful for. That's hard. If you tried to write 10 things right now that you're grateful for, just for today, it's only 10:30. It's hard. 3 things. So my goal is for you is to do 3 things every day that you're grateful for. Because I'm grateful just to have him around. I'm grateful that my mom can be here today. I'm grateful that all of you are here today. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that I have a voice that I could speak. I'm grateful I have a story, no matter how good or bad some of those times in my life have been. But a gratitude journal is the one thing. Because sometimes working towards those dreams and those goals outside of our comfort zones, like for a lot of us, this is our comfort zone. And that thing I want's right over there. And I might fail to get to that, but if I do some of the work that's required for me to get to that, what happens to my circle? It gets bigger. And then if I try again, it gets bigger. So being grateful for all the things I learned in the mess and all the things I learned in the failures. There's a really good book called Failing Forward. That's a great one. Failing forward, so being able to say that the failures just mean that it's helping me to get to where I want to be. And we also think about being fearless. I like to think of it like exercise. Fearlessness is like growing a muscle. I exercise for a living, right? So when you are exercising and lifting weights, the last 3 to 4 repetitions is where you start to break down muscle fibers so that it can what? Build back up. That's where the pain is. No one likes doing the last 3 to 4 reps. They stop at like 10. I'm like, pick up the heavier weight. Where's Logan? What do I say? Pick up the heavier weights. Go up heavier. Pick things up, put them down. I don't care. The pain, that last couple reps is where we grow. In fear, when it comes to being fearless, the pain, the growth comes from the things we don't want to do. So what are the things that you have to get rid of? They're hard. They're usually hard, right? Yeah? Cool. So thinking of it almost like exercise, not everyone wants to do it, but you have to do it. You do it so that you're healthy. You do it so that you're stronger, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We do it. And then the last one is plan it. So Lucy said something over there, know what you don't know. A lot of people focus on the I can'ts, I'm not able to, and I'm going to send this to you. I'll show you how to have it so you don't even have to worry about it. They focus on all the things that they can't do, the reasons why they can't get to where they want to be. One of the things that's been really helpful for me, and the book is out there, it's called StrengthsFinder 2.0. I'll send you some information. I'll show you how to share all this, but we have a book club at the studio. You're welcome to join. This month's book for May is StrengthsFinder 2.0. It's very fitting. I actually didn't plan that, but StrengthsFinder is a test. It has a code in the back. You take a test, and it tells you what your top 5 strengths are. If you work with a team, how many of you use it with your jobs? Has anyone ever done it? Oh, y'all got to do it. It's super cool. So it gives you a personalized description of here's your strengths. Rather than focusing on your weaknesses, here's your strengths. Here's the jobs that would be awesome for you to do. Here's how your strengths work for you. Here's how your strengths work against you. That was a big eye-opener for me. I'm like, dude, this thing's psychic. It knows all about me. It's saying, like, tell your boss your process, all those thousands of sticky notes on your desk is going to be real messy, but the outcome's great. You know, it helps you to communicate with the people around you in your relationships, personal relationships, and your work relationships. So if you work for someone, who in here is their own boss? Oh, man. We need more bosses in the room, boss ladies. The other tip that's not up here is the 5. There's 2 books, the 12-week year and 5. I'm going to give you my contact info. I made a stack of all the books that kind of pertain to what we're talking about today. I'll post a picture of it on my Instagram so you can screenshot it and buy whatever ones you want, but some of them are out here. But this one, knowing what you don't know, is something that resonated with me that Lucy said. There's so many things, like I see, like, God, there's got to be an easier way to do some of this stuff. Like, there has to be, but I have no idea how to get there. So I did what any normal person would do, and I hired a business coach. I hired a mentor. And my boyfriend is he's like, I'm your mentor. You don't need to buy a business mentor. I'm like, yeah, but you don't want to hear me complain about fitness stuff all the time. And to be honest, this area is awesome as a community, but it's also really competitive, right? And so sometimes you're trying to, like, oh, well, that person's already doing it. I know that there's a way for me to help more people in a broader spectrum. I know there is. I hired someone that's on the other side of the country. He was actually supposed to be here today, and he had an emergency. He was going to get on a plane and fly here to hear me talk for 45 minutes. I'm like, you're crazy. But he's my circle. He's one of my biggest supporters, and I'm like, Larry, I don't know what to do with this. But Larry is my coach, and we're with Todd. It's called Todd Durkin Mastermind. It's a lot of fitness professionals. This is one of the tools. It's called the 10 Forms of Wealth. I did mine this morning before I got up out of bed, because I do it on the 1st of the month. And so the idea, and I'll send this to you, is that you have these 10 areas of your life. And sometimes it's hard to focus on where the balance and the imbalance is. So the idea is that you want to rate right now for each month where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being low and like defeated, 10 being great and I feel confident and strong and I got all my shit together. So I put a mark of where I am in each of those areas. What Todd and Larry do is they pick 3 things for every spoke of the wheel that they're going to focus on for that month. That's a little much for me. So I pick 1 to 2 things. I'll give you an example. Mindset. I always try to do 2 books a month. Family. Mom and Gail, I'm doing this for accountability. Mom and Jason's mom need to meet still. Forgive me. Mom's husband met her, but Mom and Jason's mom need to meet. So that's going to happen this month, I promise. Professional. Speak for Empower. Social, visit my friend Katie, she lives in Philadelphia. Adventure, book my trip to Alaska and actually take a vacation this year. Love, make dinner for the hubby. Not the hubby, God, don't tell me I said that. Make dinner for the boyfriend instead of ordering out once this month, because we order out a lot. Impact, legacy, speak for Empower, and sponsor 20 veterans to go to the Armed Forces Parade dinner. So it's a matter of, I think, legacy. Does anyone, shout out if you don't mind shouting. Which one of these is the hardest, do you think, to fill for you guys? Shout it out. Not all at once. Physical health. Oh, God, that's what I work in. People eat too much McDonald's sometimes. Physical health is the big one, and people think, like, oh, if I just get my physical health together, everything else is going to fall into place. That's false. I used to say physical health, exercise is the 80%. How am I on time? Oh, good, we're good. Physical health is, exercise is 80% of it. 20% nutrition. Nope. Can't outrun a bad diet. You can't work out for 2 hours a week and expect you to have the physique, the bodybuilding figure. It doesn't happen. right? What else? Any of the other ones? Spiritual, mindset. So mindset, what are you listening to? I said, who's your top 5? Who are you spending the most time with? Podcasts. I listen to podcasts. I listen to Christian music because I'm a singer. I sing for church. So I listen to things that are making me like the cheerleaders in my life. You can do it. You're the best. Even if you're not, you will be. What are you reading? That's why all those books are out there. Those books that are out there are all the speakers today got to submit books that they read that help them get to where they want to be. That's why they're out there. They're not just a fluke that they're out there. Read them. They're there for a reason. Spiritual. That's hard, because especially when life knocks you down, you're like, why? What's the point? What's the reason? I don't know why Jan's gone, but I know that I'll figure it out when I get to the other side. And I know that even though he isn't here, that I can do something positive out of something that we lost, something negative, right? Since Jan's gone, it'll be 12 years this summer, which is crazy. We do the Jan Arganish ride. It's a motorcycle ride. Once a year, we've raised over $250,000, and we use that money. It's not to brag. It's nothing to do with me. I don't do it alone. I have a whole group of people that help, and the people that attend are the ones that raise the money. We use that money to help homeless vets and people that are transitioning into housing or come back from the service and they can't get a job for food, things like that. Because a lot of those guys come back, and honestly, PTSD is a real thing, and a lot of Jan's friends suffer from it. And PTSD is a real thing even if you haven't lost someone in the military. PTSD is a real thing if you've had a car accident, or you've had cancer, or you lost a friend. PTSD is a real thing for everybody. And so a lot of things when it comes to spiritual, it's, believing in something bigger than yourself, whether that's God or something else. For me, that's God. But if I didn't believe in something bigger than myself, what would be the point? Honestly, at one point I didn't think there was a point, because what's the reason for all that? If you have to go through all that and work that hard for just to get ripped away, that could be in work, that can be in love, that can just be in life. Doesn't matter. What's the point? If you don't believe in something bigger than yourself, it's stepping out of your comfort zone. You can come to church with me. I'll take you with me on Sunday. It's just taking yourself out of that comfort zone to be able to find something. And if you want to chat with me about that, I'll be happy to. Any other ones? So this is getting out of the house sometime. Making your circle bigger. So if you're 5, is your 5 kids? You need a bigger circle. You need a bigger circle of genius. How many of you want a bigger circle of genius? Raise your hand. Look around. Right, keep your hands up. Make friends with everyone that has their hands up. Right? Yeah. So the 10 forms of wealth is any of the other ones? Legacy is my hardest one. Who said legacy? I got you, girl. Legacy is my hardest one, because if you were to go tomorrow, this is a legit question. You can write this down. You can write it when you go home. But I would encourage all of you, when you go home, think about a dream board. I'm going to show you a way for you to share them with me. But write your gratitude journal. And if you were to be gone tomorrow, what would your legacy be right now? You. Oh, thanks. Oh. I didn't pay her to say that. She said me. That's my mom. You're so cute. Love you, Mom. But legacy is a big thing. I feel like Jan's legacy is being able to carry on his life to help other people. My legacy, I want it to be to help people to become their best selves, to help them, give them the tools, the knowledge, the education, the motivation, and the support to be their best version of themselves, to want more for their life, to figure out how to get more for their life. And I don't have all the answers, but I'd like to think that we're not alone in the world, and I'm not the only one that's lost someone. I'm not the only one that's gone through struggles. But being able to have a plan to know where you're going, because it's really easy to get up, go through your day, lay back down, and be like, what the heck did I do today, right? I'm a to-do list. I'm a planner person. But we think of like our daily routine. I like to think of as our rituals. not just routines, but rituals, like the intentional behaviors, the things that you do every day, whether someone's looking or not. Because true champions, true people that are Olympic athletes are a great application to it, because you see how hard they work. Like, there's some athletes, I'm like, man, I look like a dweeb compared to some of them. I'm not strong at all compared to a lot of those athletes. They work so hard, and they put in all the time. So if physical health is lower on the wheel, find time in your day. Find 5 hours in your week that you can put toward one of those. And I have one client where this is like, she's like, go to hell. I don't want any part of that wheel. Because even one thing for each spoke is way too much for her. Way too much, and that's okay. So I say, just pick one. There's 10, we can add 2 more, you can do 1 a month. Pick 1 a month that you can focus on. What's the one you can focus on right now? Can you come work out with me at 5:30? Or can you go to dinner with another woman in this room when you leave here at 5 o'clock? Pick one, but making your circle, find one thing that you can do. Is this helpful? Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to get this. Okay, so some ground rules. We have our website. You can learn about me in the studio, all that fun stuff. I want you to follow me because I'm going to post the books I talked about. Facebook, those are the addresses. Instagram, I have my own and the studio page. Go ahead, like it, follow it. If you make a dream board, I want you to post it, tag it to me, put it in your story. If you took notes, your affirmations, I want you to take a picture of it, post it in your story, and tag me so I can see it. You can send it to me privately. It's just so I can see it. I want to know if this is helpful for you or not. But if you take your phone out and you text, be fearless, it has to be all one word. If you make it 2, it's going to send you to the Boys and Girls Club. Be fearless, all one word. It doesn't have to be all caps. It just has to be all one word. It'll say, what's your email? And it'll say thank you, and it'll say, what's your name, so I get to know who you are, and it'll say thank you. You might have to check your junk mail. It went to my junk mail, so just check your junk mail, but it'll send you an automated email when you do that. When you get the email, it'll have the 10 Forms of Wealth wheel. It'll have my dream board on it. It'll have some of the resources that we chatted about. It'll all be in that email. You can unsubscribe after that if you need to, but you can stay connected to me that way as well. That 10 Forms of Wealth, you'll see on the back, when you print it off, it has each area of the wheel and how to help rate it so that you have access to that. So feel free to text that. If you don't want to text that, you won't get the information. You won't get the wheel. So you can message me, email me. That's all on our website. Is this helpful? Cool. Questions? Ask me anything. Yeah. What do I do at my studio? Yeah, we do a bunch. So no person is the same. So we don't have any cookie cutter program. So we do specialty fitness classes only. It's not an open gym. The class schedule's on there. We do paddleboard yoga. So we have a floating studio. We have a studio on demand, which is coming out ASAP. So when you can't work out with us, you can work out at home. We do yoga, bar, kickboxing, Pilates, strength training, HIIT training, all different stuff. We also do nutrition coaching, metabolic testing, which makes your nutrition unique to you. I do that. We do corporate wellness, so we create corporate programs for companies, for their employees to help decrease their sick days so they can save money. And so we create those for companies. So if you are in human resources or are a boss of a company and you want to roll out a wellness program, we do that. We do kids fitness, yoga for athletes. We do private sessions, a lot of, I mentioned like paraplegics, quadriplegics, stuff like that. So we do a lot of different stuff, but we kind of look at, it's not just exercise, it's exercise, nutrition. I also work with ProPortion Meal Prep. It's a meal prepping service, so we cook your food for you and deliver it to your door. So if eating healthy, you can have McDonald's delivered to you, or you can have healthy food delivered to you. And you order it for the week, and that's all under services on the website, on that website there. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. The best example I can give is when I have new clients, I have them fill out a questionnaire. It asks a bunch of questions. It's very detailed. And one of the things I'll say, what's your goal weight? And when do you expect to get there by? And a lot of the times, they want to lose 75 pounds by June. The other question I ask is, when's the last time you weighed that number? Because they'll say, I want to weigh 120 pounds. And I say, well, when's the last time you weighed 120 pounds? When I was a senior in high school. And they're 55 years old. And they've had 5 kids. So it's setting realistic goals is the first part, and breaking them down into chunks. One of the things, forgive me if I'm not answering it as well as you want me to, but a lot of times people have these really big goals. I have some big goals. A lot of those goals on the dream board, I have other ones that I haven't added. But they don't all happen at once. Like, you're not going to run 10 miles in one day. You're going to run a mile at a time. And so people think like, oh, I have to get here now, because I'm an instant gratification procrastinator type personality. I want it now. And so if they don't get to it right now, they don't realize all the whole journey it is to get to that 26.1 miles, right? So breaking up the goals into smaller pieces. I'm a planner, a paper and pen planner. Passion Planner and Fit Pro Planner are the 2 planners. Fit Pro Planner I'm obsessed with right now, but they're the 2 planners I use where you can lay out your goals for the year, for the quarter, for the month, for the week, for the day, if you really want to get that adventurous, where you can take your projects and break them down. And if you have a goal, the other thing is if you can't get there, why? Figure out why you can't get there. Is it because you don't have the resources? For me, with doing a studio on demand, I don't know how to do video recording or editing or audio and all that. That's what I need these people for. So I had to hire somebody to do that, right? So it's looking at what are the things, what are the obstacles that are in your way. For a lot of us, we get to an obstacle and we don't think of it as an obstacle, we think of it as a roadblock. And now I have to go a different direction, then they stop, they don't go forward. Where for me, it's like, okay, I have this roadblock, I don't think of it as a roadblock, I gotta figure out a way to get around it, right? So in some cases, it's having realistic goals in a realistic time setting, but finding what are the things that are not allowing you to go forward, what's getting in the way. For a lot of us, when it comes to the things we're talking about, oftentimes it's the same thing that gets in our way over and over and over again. So you don't have to tell me what that is, but recognize it and say, okay, if this is the consistent thing that keeps getting in my way, what do I need to do to change it? Is that helpful? Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
So, time for one more quick question.
Okay, perfect.
What do you think helps you influence the most?
Can you elaborate?
So just with like other people are helping them reach their goals, what do you think like about your communication or whatever maybe helps them get there themselves?
I think I work harder in myself than anybody else. And I think being transparent and being open about so my journey is different than everybody else's, right? So if someone comes to me and says they want to lose 150 pounds, I'd never had to do that, right? So that can be hard, but I've worked in gastric bypass where I've worked with people who are 700 pounds and now they're 200 pounds. So I've gone above to learn and educate and submerge myself with other people, with other resources, with the knowledge, and I know what's my limit. So if I say like, here's where, and that's where she said, know what you don't know. If someone comes to me and says, I have X, Y, Z, I'm like, you need to go here and then come to me when you get to this point. Or I can help you with this, but then you need to go here with that. I think a lot of it is just being true to who you are and really working on being the best version of yourself. People want that, and I feel like everyone deserves that. When I asked that last question, are you comfortable in your own skin? That's not just comfortable by how you feel in clothes or naked. It doesn't matter. It's how you feel about yourself, your confidence in what you're doing. If you're not confident in what you're doing, just in work, in your relationships, in life, why. Recognizing that, I feel like as an influencer, it's being open about my story. I don't talk about Jan a lot. It's not about what I've lost. It's not about him. He's a huge part of my life, and having lost him is a huge part of my life. I'll say in those 2 years of knowing him, I don't want to cry. You learn more about the value of life and how short it really is. And so if that means I can share that and influence people in that way, to say like, you have to get out of your own way and take off the blinders and just run, recognize the fear, be fearful, and do it anyway, that's a big thing. So hopefully that answered. If you have other questions, we're going to wrap up. Enjoy the rest of your day, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate your time. I'll stick around if you guys need anything.